How's it going, everybody? This is Merch by Amazon or Merch on Demand sales update. What we're going to look at is April so far. I'm recording this first thing in the morning on the 18th, so we're going to be looking at the first 17 days. Uh, just before I get into the numbers, April feels a little slow. I was actually thinking about this. I was reading some of your comments. I was actually talking to a couple of people, and across the board, people are talking about a bunch of zeros, lower days. But when I was looking at these numbers just before I started recording this, I think it just feels that way. Let's dive into these numbers and we'll see what I'm talking about. So far, I'm looking at the U.S. marketplace. I'm sitting at 98 sales. As you can see here, that's $1,823.76 in sales for the total royalties of about $300. 294.76 to be exact, and royalties per sale are slowly actually increasing for me and have increased over the last week to get up to just $3 flat. This was about 280, I think, about a week and a half ago. So this is actually really good. As you can see here, when I scroll down, there's definitely one item that is selling more than others. 16 sales so far, 1-8, 5, 4, a bunch of threes, and then if I scroll down, we got twos and ones. So it's a pretty long list, but only a few that are kind of taking over and really dominating the sales. So the way that it looks now, it looks like, because we're about, like I said, 17 days into the month, it's halfway through. It might actually creep up to where March was, or between February and March. I think actually I'm fairly confident that it's gonna maybe break out of this kind of average or norm. The reason I'm saying that in that way is because of everything that I've talked about at the beginning of the video, where people are mentioning a bunch of zeros a few days in a row. Um, and that's why I really expected this to be one of the worst days of the year so far. But I'm not quite certain that it's going to turn out to be that way, even with this kind of stuff. Meaning like sixes and threes and sevens. And then if we were to go back even a week further, there were a number of threes. I think there was a number of fours. So that's why this month feels that way. But getting an 11 or a bunch of sevens in a row, it actually corrects that average, and it corrects that feeling. So that's the U.S. Looking at overall sales, I'm sitting at 163. So that number actually starts looking a little stronger. Then we see a bunch of double-digit numbers here. 11 in the UK. That doesn't usually happen. 13 in Japan. By at this point in the month, doesn't usually happen. Usually I have Germany and Italy actually kind of taking over, getting into the double digits. But what I've done, and I've mentioned this before, I put out not too many, maybe like 50, 60 designs, maybe not even that many, that were specifically made for the Japanese marketplace, and they started selling. So these are the kinds of things that kind of add certain things, right? So uh, it's very hard to kind of do that consistently, because I don't know if it's gonna work. So for example, like I always think like it doesn't make sense for me to spend a few days designing and listing and putting all this work into the Spanish marketplace if I'm getting one sale in 17 days. But again, when you do it and it works, then you see a bump in the sales in Spain. If I was to do the same thing for France, maybe that. So those small quantities, small sales actually add up. So I was looking at the 163, and then I went to the previous month. I looked at the total, and it was 320. So and this was last month, was one of my better months. So 320 is kind of like what I'm aiming for. I'd like to get around 300, maybe beat this, because it's of course you want progress, you want improvement. So I as I was looking at that, I was looking at this month, 163 17 days in, 320. So it's kind of like, okay, you're halfway there. And then I wanted to see uh, where I was the first 17 days of last month. If my total sales were 320, am I that far off? Not really. About 15 to 20 sales. I think it's about 17 sales. I'm not exactly sure. Around 20. So that's the difference. So there is a chance to actually get those numbers, to hit the 300, to, if I have a few good days, better days, there is a chance to actually reach the 320, which is really good. So this brings me back to the beginning where I said April feels slow, and there definitely are days where it's slow. However, the total numbers actually tell me a different story. It's not as slow as it feels. And the only other thing that I'll do is I'll just flash this quickly is for people who keep requesting this. I keep forgetting to do this for you guys. Right now, people are asking me to do, year to date. People like to look at these total numbers, and I've just cracked 1,000 sales this year. So this actually, I believe, is a bit ahead of last year, and I don't know about the year before. So that's feeling pretty good. Kind of halfway through April, 1,000 sales, not so bad. So anyways, I'll leave it here for you guys. April, like I said, feeling slow. Numbers actually show a bit of a different story. Things are happening, things are moving, and it feels good. I definitely can't complain. Okay, I'll leave it here. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon.